Hey howdy, hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I got a lot of content coming down the pipeline, but I wanted to get this off my chest. This is going to be more so like a rant video, but this shit has been eating me alive for the past few months. The realm of gaming is a very interesting one, and to think I'm where I'm at today and to have experienced some of the greatest games that have ever been developed simply because of 3 lines on a screen is mind-blowing to me. But this industry that I hold so close to my heart is not the same anymore. Some would argue that it's gotten better, while others would say that gaming is quite possibly in the worst state it's ever been in. And whatever idea you subscribe to, I'm sure you have your reasons, but I want to talk about a particular type of gaming today: early access gaming. Mostly everyone is aware as to what Steam's early access is, but for the 20% of total gamers who play on console, Steam's early access is where studios with not a lot of money and resources will post their games in hopes of making enough money to fund equitable development. It's a super complex and super intricate topic, but that's about as vanilla as I can put it. Now, if you don't know any better, you would probably say, well, Red, that's incredible. What's the problem with that? And I'm so glad you asked. It's because shitty developers exploit this fucking platform. Oh my god, dude. Some of the worst goddamn shit I have ever seen or played in my life has been dumped into the buffet table that is the Steam's early access directory. At times, and depending on how far you want to dig through it, you'll notice it doubles as a digital graveyard for abandonware projects. Now, there have been some great games to come out of early access, like Scum, Ready or Not, Ground Branch, Ghost of Tabor, and the list is pretty goddamn long, but every rose has its thorns, and I would be damned if they aren't hemorrhaging the industry right now. There is one game currently sitting in Steam's early access that had millions in crowdfunding, and once they released, you're wondering where all the goddamn money went. The game was absolutely horrible. You also have another game that had the ability to damn near topple the tower of a AAA giant, but instead of doing what the supporters of the title were saying to do, the developer said, nah fam, we know it's best, and now the game is on life support again. Then you had The Day Before. We all know the story about The Day Before at this point, and if you haven't heard about it, well, brother, welcome to the world outside of the vault. It's a very scary place, and we're almost at 3,000 subs. Go ahead and hit that fucking sub button, bro. What are you doing? The issue that this causes is about as catastrophic as slapping the top of a demon core. It plants a cancerous seed into the people who constantly consume and search for great indie content, and in the process messes with the preconceived integrity of content creators like myself and many of my other friends. For example, I made a video on Gray Zone Warfare at the request of the guys over at Madfinger. One day prior to the video going up, GZW had their X account taken down for some weird policy violation. That one small incident alone had people up in arms saying, I knew the game was fake, I knew this wasn't real, blah blah fucking blah. Then my video went out, and I guess I had forgotten that Madfinger had said GZW wasn't considered an extraction shooter because I called it an extraction shooter in that video. Now, Rick and some of the other guys over at Madfinger didn't give a good goddamn. They actually loved the video, but I had people in my comment section saying their community doesn't even know what the game is, it's obviously not real. And with all of that in mind, I just gotta say, you guys are emotionally fucking damaged that The Day Before was a scam. You want everything to be a scam now just so you have some self-gratification, because the high you got knowing that you were right is what's keeping your hatred alive. I just want you to know that, and that shit is so infuriating to me. Now, in some ways I do get it and I do relate, but good Lord, protector of all that is good and holy, deliver me from dumbass people making dumbass comments and making dumbass assumptions. I'm almost willing to bet that the same exact people who cry scam game every 5 minutes are the same people who at one point infiltrated the comment sections of game critics saying that they are being haters for clout. Pick your struggle and stick with it. You can't have both sides of this. And with that sentiment still lingering in our heads for just another minute, I have seen Reddit threads and Quora forums talking about how buying early access games is one of the worst things you can do because it feeds into the already shitty nature of the early access platform. And on one hand, like I said, I can get behind being hesitant on purchasing something in early access because you're taking a gamble with your money in one way or another. The early access platform 100% is a weird and somewhat dodgy corner of Steam to begin with, outside of all the porn games I continuously get recommended, but you gamble your money anyways when you buy a premium title every single goddamn year. Enough people bought Modern Warfare 2 to make it one of the highest grossing and one of the most hated COD titles at the same time in the franchise's history. That was a $70 game that was not in early access. What about Back 4 Blood? A game that quickly became boring, lackluster, and it was made by the same damn people who made the Left 4 Dead franchise. Never even touched early access. What did both of those games have in common? Both were AAA titles, so where's the allegations that those games were scams? There's not any. Why? Because it never touched early access. But God forbid a solid title with a great dev team decides to release into early access, and also, God forbid, a game in early access as a battle pass. Hell no, that's a cardinal sin against everything on the platform. Now, on the flip side of that coin, let's go ahead and talk about some games that did release into early access that ended up being absolute bangers across the board. Ready or Not just released into 1.0 after being in early access for multiple years, and that game is one of the best SWAT games you can play right now. BattleBit Remastered launched into early access, and that game is an absolute banger for $15. Lethal Company released into early access, and that's a great game you can play with your friends. Ghost of Tabor literally won VR Game of the Year, and that game dropped into early access. Ground Branch has been in early access for a very long time, but it is an incredible game to play. We'll go ahead and just name one more to really dig deep into this argument. Scum released into early access back in 2018, and it is pound for pound one of the best survival games you can play right now on the Steam platform. Don't at me, don't tweet me, don't DM me. I said what I said. Now, this isn't me saying to just accept everything that goes into early access, because you will encounter the dead matters. You will encounter the day befores. And Steam's early access platform has a lot of missing checks and balances to begin with. Even the ones that they do have already are so easily exploited. So fixing the piss poor reputation that Steam's early access has would take months and months and months of damage control, meaning that a fleet of people would have to individually assess the games that get submitted and then move it on to another team of people who vote on whether or not it gets greenlit. I can tell you this much, it's more money than what our PC Lord and Savior Gabe Newell wants to spend on it. But if you want the future of indie gaming to be this exciting thing, you have to treat it with respect. If you want indie developers to treat your platform like a safe haven to go to, where they can seek actual feedback and actual support and get actual funding, then you need to make this platform a better place. 2024 just got here, and there's going to be a lot of games releasing into early access this year. Some of them are not on my radar, and some of them 100% completely are on my radar. And I will echo this through the goddamn halls of the gaming universe. Just because a game is in early access does not mean the game is a scam or is going to be a scam or is anything that is negative. If the game is bad and it gets dropped into early access, that's one thing. If the game drops into early access and people find out down the line that it's actually a crypto miner and the game is just a front to do that shit, that's one thing completely on its own. But games with heavy ambitions and high expectations are not your target. People are super comfortable throwing that phrase around, scam, but much like the word woke, it's lost its original meaning. Mainly because the people using those words in a completely out of text sense have lost their brain cells. So yeah, I told you guys that this was gonna be a rant, and god damn it, I gave you one. Let me know down below what you guys think. Is Steam's early access the reason why people think indie games are scams, or did I completely miss the mark? And while you're in the neighborhood, go ahead and hit that like button, that sub button, and scam that notification bell for more content like this. And as always, my name is Red Bear Mortis. Speak loud, speak the truth, and I will see you in the next one.